Hey guys, Lucky Star Shi-Roku here, and welcome back to Portal. Last time around we finished up the main game, and now we are jumping into the extras. For those who are new, extras are basically like little bonus episodes at the end of not most, but not all, but most Let's Plays. Basically just little bonus episodes like, I don't know, glitches, Easter eggs, extra stuff, just basically additional content after the main game is done. So we finished up last time, and now we're going into the extras, and this time around we are going to be going into the developer commentary. We're going to be going through what the developers have to say about the whole process of developing the game. This should be entertaining because this is Valve, and I do remember Valve being quite funny. Like, you know, Valve have always had a bit of a sense of humor, particularly with Portal. So this should be interesting. So I think what we're going to be doing here in terms of the developer commentary is we're going to be going through the whole game. And I'm going to be going through the whole game. It might take a few days to get the whole video done, just because I get the feeling I'll need to do this over multiple days. But basically, I'll go through the game until I can find a bubble where there's commentary, and then we'll listen to it. And if I have anything to say, I'll say it after we've done listening to the commentary. So again, I'm not gonna go through the whole game, just where there's bubbles to look on, basically. So yeah, developer commentary, and we are okay. So we can see where the okay, so yeah, as you can see here, there's so basically we're gonna go through the whole game again, but I'm only gonna be stopping where the bubbles actually are. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the developer commentary.
Welcome to
Game name here.
Hopefully you've already had a chance to enjoy the offbeat perspective and new game mechanic of Portal. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your use key. To stop a commentary node, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press the use key again. Some commentary nodes may take control of the game in order to show something to you. In these cases, simply press your use key again to stop the commentary. Please let me know what you think after you've had a chance to play, as we think we are just at the beginning of taking advantage of this type of gameplay. I can be reached at gaben@valvesoftware.com. Thanks, and have fun.
Okay, so what I basically did is I turned on the subtitles just so you can kind of see what the commentator is actually talking about, and I'm basically just gonna keep going until, just so that I'm not talking over GLaDOS as well. So just when things are quiet, pretty much. So you've already seen the description of how all that works. So yeah, there's these little commentary nodes which, when you're over it, you'll see them spinning, and then basically it's just press the A button to trigger it and to de-trigger it, basically. So so yeah, we've already had Gabe explaining how things work, and let's just start hearing what they've got to say.
One of the things we learned from Narbacular Drop, our student project that became Portal, was that players often thought portals took them into other spaces, or even other dimensions. To help fight that notion, we start players in a visually unique room with memorable objects, so that when they walk through a portal for the first time, they have a clear point of reference which communicates the idea that they're still in the same basic location. For instance, the radio, which is playing an instrumental version of Still Alive, helps as well by providing some audio continuity.
Okay, so that's the first one. That's interesting. So, originally people thought that portals always took you to alternate dimensions. Interesting. I did not know about that. Again, I didn't really know much about the game that would become Portal. I knew the name, just could never remember how to pronounce it, but that's interesting. I also wish I could turn that radio off because it's a little bit distracting. Okay, where's the next commentary node? I think, okay, it's probably this, isn't it?
It's absolutely critical that players quickly wrap their heads around what a portal is. We noticed early playtesters grasped the concept much more quickly when they caught a glimpse of themselves through a portal. So we deliberately positioned this first portal to ensure that players will invariably see themselves.
That's quite a clever idea, actually, and yeah, you can definitely see what they mean there. Yeah, it's so again, that was a good idea on their part, I think. Okay, so let's see. The next lot are elsewhere. So let's see, 2 in here. Okay, where's the next one? Did we get all of them? Okay, there's one there. Right, gotcha. So we got both of them in there. Also, you'll notice that when they've already been read, they'll stop spinning. So if you've already heard them, like if you already heard them, they'll basically just stop spinning. So that's a good little reminder of which ones we've seen and haven't seen. Okay, right, here's the next one.
We put the player character in an orange jumpsuit to reinforce the fact that she's a test subject. Visually, the warmer colors helped her pop out against the colder tones of her environment. Some playtesters were wondering why she could fall so far without getting hurt the way she would have if she were in Half-Life 2. In response, we added a mechanized heel spring to her lower legs. Afterwards, there was no longer any question about why she could survive such long falls.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. So yeah, just explaining the whole, like, the reason for the jumpsuit, why she's wearing a jumpsuit, like a prison kind of thing, which again makes sense, being a test subject and all that kind of thing, and then obviously you know, the introduction of the advanced knee replacement, so the long fall boots in Portal 2, pretty much. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, again, considering fall damage in Half-Life is a thing, so I feel like you would need to, like, have some reason for explaining that, and I think they did quite a good job there, I think. Okay, let's see, that's got that one, so where is the next node? I think it's over, okay, it's over there, right. Is there any more in? Okay, there's one in there, right. Okay, what's this one?
These frosted glass observation rooms make the player feel as if they're being watched at all times, while keeping the identity of these watchers a mystery. The rooms serve a practical purpose as well, since we often use them as convenient and logical light sources for the test chambers.
Oh, okay, interesting, yeah. Like there's always like these like observation windows that scientists can like look down at you, like obviously there's no like actual no scientists in the actual game, but yeah, I get that. It was like meant to create the illusion that you're always being watched even if there's no one there. I mean, I suppose you could have done it even more if it was like a one-way window would have created it a little bit better, but the fact that these windows also act as a light source as well, I did not know that. I mean, come to think of it, you don't really see many like actual lights. I suppose like there's the lights along the wall here, but that's interesting. The fact that they're using the windows as a light source, I like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, one more node here from what I can tell, unless there's one beyond that door. I don't know, but I think that's, yeah, just to make sure I get everything before moving on. Right, okay. Okay, last node in this room. What we got this time? Probably about the cubes and the buttons or something.
Portal is effectively an extended player training exercise. We spend a huge portion of the game introducing a series of gameplay tools, then layering those tools into increasingly difficult puzzles. This layering starts here, where we train the button and box mechanic, before introducing the more complicated concept of portals.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I mean again, I've always noticed that throughout the actual gameplay of Portal, like even before I started the Let's Plays, but I did always notice that of how the game like gradually introduces like new mechanics, you know, slowly, as to not overwhelm the player, and yeah, that works. I get that. Okay, I'm not entirely sure why there's a radio playing, as I don't recall there being a radio in here before, but I don't know. Either way, we've got another node to listen to. So let's see what we got.
We wanted players to feel safe while standing in a portal, so we never kill them or destroy objects within a portal that's closing. Instead, we either push or teleport objects out of a portal as it closes.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Making players feel like that the portals aren't gonna kill them or get chopped in half or something. I like that. That's a good idea. Because again, at first you might think it would, but yeah, I think that's probably for the best. Because again, there's a lot of things in the game that can kill you already. You don't really want the portals to do so as well. So that's probably a good idea there, I think. Oh, there's the next one. What we got here? Probably about the Emancipation Grill, right?
We very deliberately introduce and train each gameplay concept in Portal, so that once players reach this spot, we're confident that they know what a portal is and roughly how it works. Early versions of the game let players stumble through the beginning, without always understanding what was going on, which really compromised teaching new concepts. The puzzle you just finished was designed so that stumbling around will almost always lead to a dead end. Completing the puzzle requires walking through a minimum of 5 portals in a specific order. This kind of gating, in which a solid understanding of key gameplay concept is required for success, helped standardize the learning curve of the game tremendously.
Okay, so it sounds like the earlier version of this puzzle was a lot more complex. Okay, interesting. Okay, right. What we got next? Probably about the portal gun, right?
In early versions of this map, playtesters would charge down the stairs without noticing what was creating the portals. We introduced a mandatory pause in the action, what we call a gate, to help ensure that players stop and notice the portal gun making the blue portal. The particle effect and a loud noise helped draw their attention.
Okay, interesting. So originally players would like go straight down the stairs without not even noticing the portal gun. Okay, interesting. I don't know, maybe there wasn't like I imagine there was probably always like a window here, probably, but people just didn't really care that much and just went straight down the stairs, perhaps. But yeah, that's a good idea, like having a noise and a particle effect. Yeah, that's a good idea there, I think. Okay, right. What we got this time? If I had to guess, probably something about these little drops here, perhaps, or maybe a beta version of this chamber. I don't know. Well, let's see what they've got to say.
This room was designed to make players understand that entrance and exit portals aren't tied to the color of the portal. Playtesters often assume that orange portals were exit only, so we created this puzzle to force players to enter an orange portal.
Okay, right, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I can understand, like, again, back when the game first came out, I can probably understand that. Like, you know, I mean, considering the pattern that we've seen up to this point, the orange portal was only used as an exit up to this point, so I can kind of understand that logic there. But yeah, it's a good idea to, you know, since obviously later on you could control both portals, so I think it's a very good idea to have that distinction like early on. That's again good idea there. Okay, right. Let's see. I've already shot a portal over there, so, and that takes us straight to the next one. So let's see. What's this one gonna be?
When rendering the player's view through a portal, we must render a separate image using a virtual camera which looks out of the opposite portal. To obtain a correct image and efficient rendering performance, we render only what is visible to the limited field of view of the opposite portal and exclude objects which lie between the virtual camera and the plane of the opposite portal.
Ah, that's interesting. So when I look through, it's not actually showing what's actually there. It's like using a virtual camera. That's interesting. And I've noticed so far every chamber has had a radio, which is annoying me because I don't like the radio music anyway. I find it kind of obnoxious, so that's gonna be annoying. Anyway, there's only one more node, so let's see what this one's got to say. One of them's got to be about the I feel like one of them's got to be about the Emancipation Grill, perhaps. I don't know. But anyway, what we got here?
The combination of portal-destroying fields, which we call fizzlers, and the elevators, serve a dual purpose. They provide a clearly identifiable endpoint for each test chamber, while also addressing the more practical problem of how to keep players from portaling across level loads. We eventually integrated the fizzlers into several of our puzzle designs.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's a good idea there, like, so... Yeah, I have noticed that, like, in certain, like, particularly the first, like, major momentum puzzle, like, there are a few there are a few puzzles that integrate the emancipation grills or fizzlers. So yeah, I mean, again, go through the fizzler. There goes the portal. Yeah, so it's yeah, it's yeah, that's a good. I'd say like so far they've made like good decisions, I think. Okay, I'm starting to get a little annoyed by these radios, but I'm gonna try and ignore them. Okay, the first node is over here, so let's see, what do we got?
For training purposes, there's generally just one correct solution to these early puzzles. The original version of this room didn't have the glass barrier. Playtesters would often stand on the button to open the door and then shoot a blue portal through the opening, bypassing the box entirely. Since this puzzle was meant to illustrate the relationship between boxes and buttons, that solution, while clever, was a failure. So we added the glass barrier to prevent it. Later in the game, however, the puzzles become more open-ended.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of see how that would work. Like, yeah, because again, these earlier puzzles are meant to, you know, again, it's meant to show that the box and button is kind of important. So, yeah, the fact that this wasn't here initially, which, I mean, I don't really see how that would work, since again, even if that barrier wasn't there, I mean, again, you know, even if that barrier wasn't there, there's still like no portal service beyond here, so I don't really see how that would. I don't really see how that would work, because it couldn't shoot a portal back here, even if that barrier wasn't out the way. But again, maybe I'm missing something. But yeah, I get that. I get that. Right, next node. I don't need to jump down there with the annoying radio. I can just get it from down here. Oh yeah, that's another thing. You don't have to be right up close to the nodes either. You can just, as long as you've got your crosshair over it, it should trigger it.
Integrating portals with Source Engine's physics system was a complex process that required several iterations to achieve the right balance of performance and correctness. Because portals can be placed virtually anywhere in the game's environment, the physics system had to be modified to allow dynamic changes to its representation of colliding geometry, such as the walls and floor around this box, and any objects which may lie on the opposite side of the portal. Initial implementations of this dynamic collision generation system could take up to 1/2 of 1 second, or 500 milliseconds, to compute the correct collision. This may not sound like a long time in everyday life, but this pause during the portal creation was quite noticeable in the context of a game. Ultimately, we designed a system that creates temporary hybrid physics environments in bubbles around the portals, using less accurate collision than that produced by Source's standard collision generation, but was accurate enough in practice and reduced the time to create dynamic collision representation from 500 milliseconds to just 10 milliseconds, which is an imperceptible pause during portal creation.
Okay, I see. So it sounds like initially there might have been a bit more of a noticeable delay between like pulling the trigger and actually creating the portal, which obviously you don't really want, to be honest. You know, you want it to be instant. But so yeah, again, honestly, it worked on. You know, it worked in the end, obviously. But yeah, that's interesting. Again, all this stuff I didn't know about the game. It just goes to show that it goes to show ultimately, like, again, the game's like a couple decades old now at this point, but you're still learning new stuff here and there. Now I can hear myself think. Right, what's next?
Early versions of Portal featured more detailed, cluttered environments, much like Half-Life 2. We quickly realized that unnecessary objects scattered all over the place distracted players to the point where it actually interfered with the Portal training process. So we simplified the art style to favor clean, focused test chambers. The modular approach we settled on makes it look plausible that the chambers can reform dynamically on these pistons.
Okay, so that means originally the test chambers were a lot more cluttered, have a lot more like unnecessary crap in them, much like the environment in Half-Life 2. But it was distracting to the point where yeah, I can imagine that, and yeah, I can definitely imagine how that would be an issue. So again, I definitely think the more empty and like desolate art style definitely works, and again, it also works to Portal's appeal as well, I think. Okay, if I had to take a guess, I'd probably say this one's probably talking about the high energy pellets or something. I mean, that's my best guess. So what we got?
To make puzzles deeper than just teleporting to the exit, we had to include surfaces that won't hold a portal, which are formally introduced here. We experimented with several surface designs before we settled on this one, whose visual noise and reflectivity make it easy to identify at a distance.
Okay, right, I see what you mean there. Okay, so they had to distinguish the difference between a portal surface and a non-portal surface, both visually and audially. Well, both visual and audio cues. Like you can see, if you see here, like here's like again, that's a portal surface, and also the walls you've seen, you know, those are portal surface. So again, portal surface, that's the noise of a portal opening. So again, there's the visual and audio cues. This is a non-portal surface, and again, if you listen, different noise. So, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Like, cause obviously, if you can just shoot a portal anywhere, it's not really, you know, like only being able to shoot portals on certain like surfaces. It makes sense because, again, it'd just be too cheap, and you know, you'd be able to cheat the game otherwise. So. Yeah, I like the idea. Okay, right. Let's see what's this one about.
Originally, these scaffolds ran on electrified tracks, but crafty playtesters would hop along the rails to the exit, bypassing the puzzle entirely. We tried to solve this by killing players as soon as they touched the rails. That solution ended up being too much of an overcorrection, as even skilled playtesters were getting frustrated by these one-hit kills in the more complex puzzles later in the game. Making the scaffolds run along immaterial beams of light solved both problems.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. Like I can imagine just the beta testers just like climbing along the rails, which would allow them to like completely bypass the entire puzzle. So they tried to make it so that it was like electrified rails or whatever, so it would kill the player, but that quickly became another issue because it would like frustrate even the most. Even the more skilled players. So instead they just had this like basically an invisible kind of thing which you just fall through. Yeah, like so it's like so they would have like tried to go along here, but if you jump on it now, you fall straight through it. Yeah, I'd say that's a good compromise. Okay, I'd say this one's probably gonna be about the acid if I had to guess. Probably that's again my best guess.
Even though layering player training was a design goal from the start, we still ended up introducing some concepts too quickly. For instance, this used to be the first energy ball redirection puzzle. Playtesting revealed that this puzzle introduced too many new concepts at once, which ended up frustrating a lot of playtesters. In response, we inserted 2 test chambers before this one to make the energy ball redirection training more gradual.
Okay, I see. So this was originally the first energy pellet room, but it ended up getting a bit too frustrated because they had the killer floor as well. Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine that. Yeah. Again, you want to introduce features like gradually.
We previously talked about how we handle static portal collision, but collision with moving objects on the other side of a portal is a completely different and equally hard problem. Walking onto this scaffold was a very iffy proposition for the first few months of development. We solved the problem of colliding with these dynamic objects by cloning the objects from one portal to the other and strictly controlling what objects are allowed to collide with each other and how they're allowed to collide.
Okay. They had a few problems and they were finding different ways to solve them.